Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It's time for round 8 of the FIA Manufacturers Exhibition Season 2020, another strategy guide. And round 8 is taking us to the halls of Austria. It's the Red Bull Ring in Group 4 cars, 16 laps, fuel at ×3, tyre wear at a very high ×15. We have the choice of the soft, medium and hard, and the tyre requirement for this one is that we must run all 3 of the compounds at some point in the race. So first off, let's take a look at the fuel and the pit stops for this one. Because we have to run all 3 of the compounds, we are locked into at the very least 2 pit stops, so working out the pit loss for this one is going to be quite handy. First up, we'll just look at fuel though. We are in the BMW M4 Group 4 car. We are on the second lap here and we are revving the car out not trying to do any type of fuel saving, and we are about 3 laps short of fuel. So fuel saving for this one, or fuel management, or taking on fuel at a pit stop is something that you have to consider. But we'll take a little bit look at that just momentarily as we look at the pit stops. So let's take a look at the pit loss for this track here. We are in a custom race, so we will get an accurate fuel reading. An accurate pit loss reading from this one. So into the pits we come. You can see quite a bit of time passes before the car makes its way into the pit box there, and it's around about 11 seconds before the car is stationary in the box. So only taking tyres on here, and that pit time getting up towards 23 seconds by the time we leave the pit lane, but the actual pit loss to the cars on track coming in at about 10.5 seconds once you get up to speed down this straight here. You lose about 10.5 seconds in the pits. So quite a lengthy loss, but as we said earlier, because of the requirement to run all 3 tyres, we are going to be making 2 pit stops at the very least, no matter what happens. So back onto the subject of fuel. Now I would always recommend in a race where fuel is going to have to manage to save as much fuel as you can during the race and avoid taking it on at the pit stop. In the case of most cars, that should be possible just with the usual fuel saving techniques, but saving fuel is not everybody's cup of tea. So if you can't save fuel, let's check out the length of a pit stop when you have to take on the fuel that's required. Now, if I was to do no fuel saving in this car, I'd have to take on about 23% of fuel at some point in the race. So that's what we're doing here. We change the tyres, we're taking the fuel on, we actually take on 25% of fuel just to give ourselves a little bit of margin. And the difference there is that we are stationary for 10.1 seconds as opposed to 4.9 seconds just for the tyres. So 25% of fuel is going to cost you 5 seconds in the pit lane if you decide to go down that route. So moving on to some race simulation runs. The first run we're going to do here is essentially what I would call the traditional kind of run. Start on the softest tyres, and then once you feel that you're losing too much pace and you'd be faster on the next compound of tyre, moving on to them, and obviously the mediums in this case, and then moving on to the hards at the end. So for this run we are going to do 6 laps on the soft tyres, 6 laps on the mediums and 4 laps on the hard tyres. Now prior to doing this run I had obviously done some running in the lobby just to get an idea of a few things, just to sort of learn about the fuel, what sort of brake balance I wanted to be running this car. Initially started on brake balance at +2, but I found that was still wearing the front tyres out a little bit more than the rear tyres, so for the race simulation runs we're actually on brake balance at +3. I got a sort of rough idea of what kind of pace I could do on the medium tyres, and sort of roughly about how many sort of laps I could do on the soft tyres. So I discovered that the soft tyres were good for about 5 laps before I got into that sort of range where I'd be better off on a set of mediums. However, for this run I thought I would try and save the tyres a little bit in the soft tyres and try and eke out 6 laps on the soft tyres. So that's definitely something I would recommend doing though, is just go into a lobby and just make sure you know these things about your fuel and finding a better best brake balance for yourself or your car, as it tends to be. Obviously where you run the brake balance can kind of influence your tyre wear. If you're burning out the front tyres, then you want to try and run the brakes balance to the rear. If you're burning out your rear tyres, then you want to try and run the brake balance to the front. A couple of things just to note though with brake balance: if you run it at the rear, you can make the back end of the car a little bit skittish under braking, and you'll have a slightly poorer braking performance. Whereas if you run the brake balance all the way to the front, then you have slightly better braking performance, but you will wear out those front tyres, and it can induce a little bit of understeer. Okay, back to the race run here. At the end of lap 6, we pitted for a new set of tyres. We took on a set of mediums, and we are now on lap 12 of these mediums. Come to the end of the run, we've been fuel saving throughout the run. We can see we've got the fuel where we need it to be, just shifting about 80% on the rev limiter bar. Seemed to be enough to get the BMW M4's fuel under control. And I actually didn't realise, but this car's actually got 7 gears. But I was driving it more as just having a 6-speed gearbox. So at the end of lap 12 we pitted for a new set of hards, just a new set of tyres, but we put the hard tyres on. Now it turns out they're not very good, the hard tyres, they're pretty slow. Although those 2 lap times we've done there are 38.0 and a 37.9, probably not quite representative. We made a mistake on both of those laps, but it's probably just because we weren't quite acclimatised to the grip that we had. So that was a 2-stop run there, 6 soft, 6 medium, 4 hards. And we shall go back a little bit later on in the video and look at the finishing time for that one. So the next run that we are going to take a look at is to try and see how the 3-stopper fares. I felt I was a little bit caught out on the last round at Catalonia in the Group 3 cars. I thought it was a stonewaller 2-stop. It didn't really give much consideration to the 3-stopper, but it turned out it was quite a viable strategy, and then for some people it was really the only strategy due to the high tyre wear. So I didn't want to be caught out in this round, and so we are going to do a 3-stop run. So for this one we're just we're going to start on the hard tyres and we're going to get rid of them after 2 laps, move on to the mediums, and then we're going to do 3 laps on the mediums and then do a double stint on the soft tyres, one of 5 laps and then a last stint of 6 laps. We know from earlier runs that the car is good for about 5 laps on the softs, but once we get to the end of the race and we're a lot lower on fuel, we should be able to get 6 laps on a set of softs. So out the pits we come, and we jump all the way to the last lap. As I said, we did the first stint on the softs, we did 5 laps, and we're doing a 6-lap stint here. And it turns out we can keep the tyres Reasonably decent right through to this last lap, but we certainly started to lose a bit of lap time here on this last lap. Again, we fuel saved through this one to avoid taking on fuel at any of the pit stops. Again, just shifting about 80%. The BMW seemed to manage that fairly easy. Seems to be quite a reasonable car for fuel saving. So that's a free stopper run. We'll come back to that one a little bit later just to see how it compares to the two stopper. So a final look at another two stop run here. I thought for this one we would try and minimise the hard tyre usage because we learned from the first two stop run just how slow it was. Maybe more a strategy for if you're starting near the back. So we're going to do 2 laps on the hard tyre, 8 laps on the mediums, and then finish with a stint of 6 laps on the soft tyres. So this is our in lap here. We've done number 2 laps on the hards, and we've done 8 laps here on the mediums. Now, one thing to note when you come into this pit lane is that you are in control of the car through the last corner, so it's quite easy to run wide in the actual pit lane and hit the wall on the barrier, so be careful of that. And also, if you try and cut over the white line, it's kind of got the red and white on to represent the Austrian flag, you can pick up a half-second penalty for ignoring track limits. So keep that in mind when you're coming into the pits. It's actually worth maybe even doing a couple of practice pit entries just to make sure you get it right, because you're coming in on worn tyres generally, and the car will try and obviously understeer. You're trying to come in narrow at the corner, so maybe just a little something to keep in mind. And penalties play quite a big factor in this race. It's very easy to run wide at first turn and these last 2 corners and pick up half-second penalties. So that is the end of that two stop run. 2 laps on the hards, 8 on the mediums, 6 on the softs, and we'll come back to these 3 runs a little bit later in the video to discuss sort of finishing times, what was quicker, and what I think is the best way to go. So one thing we'll just sort of take a look at before we get there is how do the MR cars fare. The mid-engine cars, rear-wheel drive cars. So that's your McLaren, your Ferrari, your Citroen and your Porsche, the sort of the main candidates in that group. I'm not sure if there's any more MR cars, there could well be. So we're in the McLaren here. I did think that the MR cars would probably fare a little bit better in terms of you can some longer stints out the soft tyres. That does prove to be the case. The McLaren here seems to be quite good to get about 6 or 7 laps out of the softs, even on full fuel. So the MR cars could probably minimise the running on the hard tyre, which is going to prove quite advantageous in this one, because the hard tyre is obviously pretty slow. Even at the end of a stint when you're on your lowest fuel, the hard tyre probably only as fast as a soft tyre that's done about 7 laps, and a medium tyre that's maybe done about 8 laps. Okay, so there is the finishing times for the 3 runs that we did. The first 2 stop run there, 26:31.1. The second 2 stop run, 26:32.7, and the 3 stop run coming in at 26:34.5. So the 2 stop edging out the 3 stopper in this occasion. I thought that would be the case anyway, but quite surprised just how close the 3 stop managed to get. We're only talking a handful of seconds, despite doing an extra 10.5 second pit stop. So definitely one to bear in mind if you happen to just be absolutely trashing your tyres. The 3 stopper might just be workable for you if you can't get any sort of duration out of the tyres. But I think for most people, most cars, this one is a 2 stopper. However, given the fact that you've got to run all 3 tyres, it's very hard to really suggest the best way to run that two-stopper, whether to start on the soft, start on the hard, start on the mediums, and what order on lap you want to be sort of changing. You do want to be minimising those hard tyres as much as possible, I guess. I think if you're in the MR car, you could probably get away with just do the 2 laps on the hard tyres. I think for FR cars, 4-wheel drive cars, I would sort of be more looking at 3 or 4 laps on the hard tyres. Just trying to sort of make those stints on the mediums and the softs more productive. I guess qualifying is going to influence what tyre you start on. If you're qualifying at the front, I think the soft tyre or the medium tyre at least to start the race on. Try and get away from that midfield melee. The Red Bull rig is a particularly messy race in the midfield. Long straights into tight corners. Tends to be a lot of dive bombing, or people missing braking points, and lots of going side by side into corners. It's just bleeds lap time left, right and centre. So I think if you're at the front you can get away from that, and then run the hards at the end when the race is a lot more spread out. I think that'd be a good idea. Qualify at the back, last 5 cars, start the hard tyres, and sort of use that melee over the first couple of laps when sort of the race is still trying to sort itself out to sort of keep up. But yep, said we've got to run all 3 different compounds. I think that means there's 12 different combinations of running the tyres. So, as I said, very hard to sort of really recommend the absolute best way to do that. Okay, that's my thoughts for this one. As I said, it's a 2-stopper. Save that fuel and don't take it on at the pit stop, and watch those track limits. If you're going to go the whole race without picking up a penalty, you're going to be one of the very few cars that will manage that, and that's going to give you a big advantage. So, I'll wrap it up here. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck on your races, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.